Hey, how's everybody doing today? This is Dr. Joe Martin with the Warrior Mindset Podcast. For some of you that have never been viewing this podcast before, the mindset of this podcast is really we're just kind of looking into what makes people tick. You know, everybody goes through their peaks and valleys. They ebb and flow throughout their life, whether we're talking to military people, civilian people, as we call them, you know, political people, mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, training individuals, doctors, lawyers, or whatever. These are just some of the regular people that are walking around in our lives. I've been very blessed as a former military guy. I was definitely not in the time frame from a combat veteran point of view, but as a former Navy SEAL, the foundation I've been in my life has built me to the person who I am today. And with this concept of this podcast, it's that warrior mindset. Is like everybody has that warrior mindset. When you're born and you come on this earth, man, shit's hitting the fan. And with that being said, I'm just intrigued at what gets people through their daily life. So this podcast we have people from all walks of life that come on the show, that people I've met along the way, people I've invited onto the show. Today we got a really, really good friend of mine. We've known each other, how many?
12, 13 years.
12, 13 years, something like that. And we just became really good friends. We just salt of the earth, both of us coming from that background. Age frame, not too far apart from that. So the generation that we grew up with, we're probably going to have some conversations on what's going on with life and people. Yeah. But I'm going to put my hand across the board. Hey, this is Robert Wiltfang. We'd love to have you on this show today. We're going to have a good time. And like you said, Robert, about, like you said, 10, 12 years, we've known each other through our boys, through baseball and the gym. I own a gym on the other side of this studio here. And but Robert, like, you've had such a crazy story. I really wanted to get you on here just because we both grew up in the same kind of era. And we're like,
3 years apart?
Yeah. So just let people know, like, this is once again Robert Wiltfang. Just give us a little bit of story. We're in Fresno, California. So right. Just give people an intro on who you are.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Moved here in 1959 with my parents. Went to high school here. Got in heavy construction here in the early 80s. Got in the construction game. Traveled, worked in heavy construction. Worked all around the United States. Got married. Had 4 beautiful kids, which they're all adults now. But just living the dream, Joe, every day. When you were in because our boys were well, your boy's my boy, athletic minded guys, and you and I grew up in that the area of the 70s and early 80s and whatnot as young men. Were you sports? Would you play sports as a kid? I played basketball was my thing. I played football and baseball, but back then a 6'2" white kid that could slam dunk was valuable.
Yeah.
So.
Were you at close to local?
No, I went to Roosevelt High School.
Oh, Roosevelt
graduated
High School.
75.
Oh, 70. Okay. And then, you played. You had an opportunity to stay here at Fresno State for a little bit. You tried.
I did a walk on at Fresno State. In an intramural game, I blew out my left knee. That was the first knee surgery.
Oh, geez.
First of 10.
Yeah.
And
that just kind of. Back then, the type of surgeries that they did, it's still a zipper from day one.
Dude,
right?
They were butchers.
Yeah.
They've come quite a way since then.
Do you think from a playing opportunity, you think you would have had a chance? I mean, now obviously, gosh dang, the athletes nowadays are so different than when we were kids. I mean, granted,
it's a total different game now.
I'm going to agree with that too.
You've got nutritionists and trainers, and they're like, for example, Johnny was a D1 player. And, they have everything at their fingertips. Connor went through the same thing at City. You have people telling you what to eat, how to work out, what to do to make yourself bigger, faster, stronger. Mm-hmm. And they're like racehorses.
Yeah, and also, too, is I remember growing up outside New York City, and it's pretty rural once you leave the city.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a YMCA. I mean, maybe...
Back in the day, YMCA was the spot, though.
Like, I have a doctor office attached to a 6,000 square foot gym.
Yeah.
And then I'm working with athletes along the way with chiropractic therapy, tissue work, stretching, rehabilitative exercises, the gym memberships, we see a lot of Fresno State athletes in here. And it's like, we didn't have that, back in the day, So it's like, do you think if the surgery was the way it is nowadays, and unbelievable, man, my hat's off to a lot of these orthopedic surgeons. Some of them do a great job. Do you think the surgery you had then, you still possibly had the talent, do you think, to walk on?
I had a really good 3-point shot back in the day. Was a good defender. But
it's hard to say, I'm sure.
When I got to try to walk on at Fresno State, that
eye-opening.
The talent level went like
exponential.
Oh yeah, they're bigger, faster, stronger.
Wasn't it funny? And we probably talked about this over the years to where they talk about levels. So from junior high school to high school, it's X amount.
Right.
From high school to JUCO, it's X amount. From high school to D1, it's there. But then D1 to pro is like astronomical.
Huge difference.
Yeah. So when guys, and they play D1 and they don't get drafted, like, dude, you played D1. That was like, to get to that next level is like trying to find the freaking unicorn.
When you go from high school to junior college, they're better.
Yeah.
But it's the age.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get to D1, now some of them are 24, 23.
Yeah, because they're throwbacks. They do all this. The craziness that they do nowadays compared to when we were in.
Oh, yeah.
It's 4 years. If you're not in within 4 years, there's no portals. There's no skipping JUCO, and then you do a year.
Transferring
JUCO,
here and
take a year off, but you still got eligibility.
No. None of that.
I was not. I was maybe a D2, D3 possible soccer player.
Yeah.
And my grades weren't great. That's why I went into the military. Great move for me.
Yeah.
But it was like, it wasn't like it is nowadays. I mean, if I went to the school and I went to the college at the University of New Hampshire and Vermont, I had possible opportunities, D2, D3 at the time.
Right.
But, if you didn't get in there and get your 4 years done, there's no taking a year off and then you get the more scholarship. Now it's just crazy what they do.
No, it's insane.
Yeah.
You come out of JUCO, and you if you're fortunate enough to get picked up by a D1 school or a D2 or NIAA or IA, all those components of athleticism to where kids can go to school. Listen, if you can hit a baseball, I don't care if you're living in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, they're going to find out about you.
They're going to find you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can throw a football 80 yards in the air, they're going to find you.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, are you going to get that opportunity and take advantage of it when you get it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But nowadays,
well, and also too is, don't you think nowadays, just in the sporting field, where when we were younger, we were in school, they may not have seen that guy that could throw 80 yards as if he's in a smaller school. Where nowadays, with social media and scouting reports,
exactly.
We've had this conversation over the years, especially with our boys, playing sports, because every dude and every girl, I want to be a D1 player. But I think we talked about, I think it was this year, I think it might have been this year from a draft. There was a local kid got drafted out of Stanford. He was X amount down the line. But a kid at a D3 got drafted over him. And this guy's Stanford guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So they're going to find you.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So from a sporting point of view, you had the surgery and it got, everything kind of got kiboshed, from there. What made you kind of decide construction? I mean, I know we'll go into like your dad's stuff.
Back then, $16.91 an hour as a union worker was tall cotton, brother. Okay. I mean, that was
tall cotton.
Hey, that was the lick, and there were plenty of $7 an hour, $8 an hour construction jobs. Mm-hmm. But if you were fortunate enough to get in union, which I did, and Pine Flat Power Project was the first union job I was ever on, and man, I couldn't get enough of it. $16.91 an hour.
And what was that? So for a lot of people out there, people think union is just one thing, but there's many levels. You have carpenters unions, you have,
any trade, boilermakers, fitters, carpenters, carpenter tenders.
And then when you joined the union, was it something that you wanted to go, hey, I want to do this?
No, I got in. I got in as a laborer. That was my foot in the door.
Yeah,
and that's basically you're the bottom of the food chain.
Yeah,
but I was young, strong, wasn't scared to sweat, and I gave them their money's worth every hour. Yeah. So that's that, and then I just.
Now, was that when you were in the laborers and you were up there? We're talking about the power plant. There's a
at the base of the dam.
There's a base. There's like out here, Fresno County. Yeah, Pine Flat. But and then where'd you go after there?
When that job was over, I helped build the new jail in downtown Fresno.
And that was all concrete, or
that was all concrete work.
Yeah, that's where you kind of get your feet wet with concrete.
No, I got my feet wet with concrete at the power plant.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah. And then when that job was over, I went to San Diego in the early 80s and helped build Horton Plaza.
If anybody you know just been in San Diego, and SEAL team is the Buds training is out there, so I've been out there a bunch of times.
San Diego is a wonderful place for a single person.
Oh, my God. And in the late 70s?
This was 83 through 86. So
now, did you have really much work there? Because
Horton Plaza was a big job.
And that was
matter of fact, that's still there. It's
and you're pouring concrete floors.
We were doing pylons, floors, erecting walls.
Oh, okay,
I mean, it's a 7-level parking area plus shopping center. It's Horton Plaza downtown.
Yeah, downtown.
So that was the big thing in that time, and then. Of course, you get paid on Wednesday, and you go out Wednesday night, and so
Pacific Beach,
PB, La Jolla, Mission Beach, OB, and then you find some of the
locals,
local watering holes, well, the thing is, there's like 9 colleges in San Diego, so just in your mind as a single guy, just think of how many single women, live in San Diego just to go to school.
So did you have to? That's one of those things where from that warrior mindset, you have to kind of be able to balance. Let's see, I'm making $16 an hour, and all of a sudden you're pouring out $15.95. With the local entertainment.
Yeah, but I rolled that into a job as a bouncer. So I would work during the day in construction, and then I would bounce on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, and. That kind of got me in the door.
Well, it's one of those things too. When you're the bouncer, it's like you get free access to the
anything.
I was going to say you have free access to the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And there was a lot of anything.
Yeah. The nightlife uptown was one of the places I worked at. They had 2 stages and like 60 girls that would dance on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, one on each stage. It was insane. College girls, they're making
a little money.
They're dancing. They're dancing in a bikini, making $1,000 a night. Why would they not?
That's back in the early 80s.
Oh yeah, it was crazy, dude.
Jeez,
absolutely insane.
Well, let's see. Any people that listen to this podcast that have been in the military, when Robert was in San Diego, I was before Buds. I was in Subic Bay, Philippines. I'm just going to leave it like that as I look in the camera. You can, yeah. Jeez, when you're young, I mean, and sometimes with that concept, that mindset of, do I just, and this is a kind of a good thing is from that warrior mentality of who we are as individuals. The middle 80s, there was a lot of white powder that went around the clubs and the nightclubs and things like that. I was a bartender after I got out of the service in 85 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And, man, just people's lives. And we talk about roads that we take, and there's a fork in a road. So you were bouncing, I was bartending right around the same time, a couple of years difference in time, but not much. And you see a lot of this stuff getting passed around. You see the type of men and women that go on. That armor that we get, that we put on our body to go, oh, man, I'm going to be really tempted to do something like this. And you may partake here and there, but that road is you're going to take that fork in the road, which way you're going. one guy was a bartender with me, and just man, smart dude. He's going to go to medical school, and I was already out of the military, just starting off my career in college, and I thought this guy was squared away, but man, he partook in a lot of white powder.
Went too far down the road.
Yeah, and it's just like
that was the '80s, bro.
I mean,
it was
the
insane.
Long hair, was it the long hair, the Reebok high tops,
with the pump on the shoe,
parachute
pants,
parachute pants, and things like that. But that's where, when in our lives, if we make the right decision, that armor protects us from making the wrong decision. Because once he goes down that road, he's probably not going to be able to pull himself back to take the right road. There'll be another crossroad for him to take if he needs to fix himself up, like this gentleman I never saw again in my life. But then I always thought about this, like, man, there's many forks in the road. Once you make the direction, you can't come back. But when you go down, there's going to be positive or negative roads to go onto too. But like after you left, what made you leave San Diego? Like, is it back another union job? Or is getting too crazy in San Diego?
Got too crazy in San Diego. Started fork in the road. And so I bailed, came back to Fresno, got back into union work because I eventually got out of the union work and just got into the nightlife of running a strip joint. So, you started out as a bouncer, and then you're a bar back, and then you're a bartender, and then
those
you
here
become
in
a manager.
town?
No, that was in San Diego.
Oh, San Diego.
So,
that's when you told yourself.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was making 4 times the money I made there in a day, and had access to
things. People.
Yeah, it was just insane. So, but I got too far down. And like I've told you before, you and I are very similar, but you are the guy on the white horse with the white hat. I'm the guy on the black horse with the black hat. You know what I mean? I just made a couple wrong turns. You, which that's what everybody admires about you, you're the high road guy. So now that I'm older, let's see, today I've got 495 sober.
Oh, yeah. We'll go into that too. But 495 days, man, God bless you.
Yeah.
And the guys out there and gals out there listening to that, they know that struggle, and we'll go into that possibly a little bit. But anytime people get down, they get those numbers and they keep count of it, man, my hat's off. And that's a huge, I think that's such a protective armor that you put on, those numbers, those chips and things like that. We're going to go into that in a little bit, but that little sidestep congratulatory thing, because it means a lot to me, because we kind of, went through that a little bit together.
Yeah.
But when you left, then you were just thinking the nightlife was just like, was getting a little too out of control.
It was out of hand. I mean, just out of hand. And, I came home to see my dad.
Great stories to tell now.
Oh, my
your boys.
My boys, they've heard the stories and seen pictures. And, back then the little Polaroid was the thing, right?
Yeah.
No social media, thank God. But I came home and I went and camped for 5 weeks at Huntington Lake just to get my mind right, and then came back down the hill, and I got back in construction, and I.
Did you stay here? Or did you go back? Because I know we're going to go
back to Ohio.
Okay, and then who picked you up out of Ohio? Did you have relatives back there?
The girl that I was engaged to,
at the time.
her family lived in Akron.
That's right.
And went back there, and I'll never forget, I moved there on January 14th of 96. And
if anybody wants to know, this freaking dude can pick up numbers and dates. I swear to God, I know how to freaking Rain Man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Standing in the garage with the garage door open, and I mean, if you could go back and look at the the weather almanac, January 14th, 1996, in the Akron area, they had a snowstorm that lasted like 33 days.
Continuous snow.
Dude, you couldn't shovel your driveway fast enough. Okay, snow blowers blowing up. I mean, it was just insane.
Running out of gas.
First month I lived there, I wrecked 2 cars because I'd never driven in the snow before.
Oh, that's right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And it was bad.
Yeah, I grew up in that.
Got in construction and. Things.
Did you stay with the concrete then too?
Yeah. Did worked at Progressive Field, which back then was, where all the Indians still play there.
Oh, okay.
But and then helped tear.
You put that thing together?
Concrete, yeah.
No way.
Do you realize that there's 2,200? This is what people don't understand about construction.
I know where we're going. Yeah, go ahead.
There's 2,200 bathrooms in that baseball stadium.
Yeah.
To test that, they had to flush all those at the same time.
Yeah.
To make sure that water
would
flow and level
just
would
in
work.
case.
I mean, just grasp that. You know, people don't understand what goes into those buildings. You know, even in something as simple as a Home Depot. You know,
we've talked about it before, and you can go into it too. The thing that boggles my mind is the amount of concrete. That goes to, like Home Depot. Home Depot, how many, for argument's sake, how many square feet?
20,000.
20,000. But what was the biggest that you told me? I think it was back east.
1 million square feet.
Like it did. I can't even.
The building was so big, I could be in the doorway at one end,
and I'd be over here,
and you could be at the other side, and I could scream, and you couldn't hear me.
Yeah,
it's if you Things Remembered are a novelty store, and they're in shopping malls all across the United States called Things Remembered. They're little
trinkets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's their warehouse from all their stuff that comes from Japan and Pakistan.
Like, that's the
that's
main
their
place for the whole world.
In Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah.
And bro, I'm telling you, it was insane. Just to watch it come together. Because the company I worked for, we would get there and it was dirt. So we'd have to dig the footers.
The forms,
and dig the footers and dig for the electricians, dig for the plumbers.
Yeah.
You know, the ironworkers would come. I mean, it was just, it's crazy to watch nothing come to something.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things that, the kids on Saturday and Sunday, which, Dad, let's go play in the tractors at your job.
Yeah.
You know, so we'd go, I had keys to everything. We'd go out and, at 5 and 6 years old, they're running tractors and digging in dirt. I was just
effing off.
Having a blast.
Yeah.
Dude. Having an absolute blast. Well, how many dads can do that?
So with the kids, they get to they get to this 1 million square foot place, and they're like, "What the frick is my dad doing?"
Oh, they loved it.
Was it their playground?
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. You told me a story where you got them little go-karts. Would you take them out to the sites where you had plenty of room?
We would. One Christmas, money was tight, and so I bought a PS2, 2 games, extra controller. Now 4 kids, right? So, and I bought a go-kart, but it didn't have any brakes. So, in the winter, at Christmas time.
What do they call that? Drifting?
Drifting.
Did you try to?
Oh, dude, listen. My daughter Chelsea had it down. She figured it out right off the bat. I would take 4 orange construction cones.
And you're out on the site,
we're in this huge parking lot.
Yeah, so it's like free playground for these kids.
And
it's out of construction site.
We would bring a couple extra gallons of gas, and we'd bring lunch, and they would each get 10 minutes, and then it was somebody else's turn. I mean, that poor go-kart had the shit driven out of it every time we'd go out, but it was a blast. It was a couple $100 for a go-kart. Didn't have any brakes. Couldn't figure out the brakes, so I had to piss on it. Just turn left and gas on it. You'll be fine.
And you come back around the other way.
Exactly.
Once you let the gas over.
Little Jonathan, he'd be driving, he'd be looking, and I'd be like, watch where you're going, and he'd be like, But they...
Well, here's the thing, and just on a side note here, you have 4 kids. At the time you were single, went through the divorce and things like that. And what do you think the difference is now? Well, what do you think the difference is nowadays with these kids? And you just made fun out of nothing, and it's crazy.
My honest opinion,
with our society. And we're going to go into down rabbit holes on this on this show. But
listen, I'm never going to have my picture on a milk carton for Father of the Year. I get it, but the thing of it is that what kids lack today is. I'll give you an example. If you do that again, you're in trouble, and you say that 17 times, that kid knows she's just going to keep saying it. I'm never going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
So Now, if my father passed in February, but when I was growing up, you got told uno time once. Then when he got out of the chair, you knew what was coming, bro.
And you either better get out of that chair quick.
Hey.
And you're like, you couldn't. Like, and then you go, because you get it worse.
A funny story. My dad, he says, go out to the orange tree and get a switch because I'm going to tan your ass, right? So I come in with a little. So my dad goes out. He comes in with like a horsewhip.
Yeah.
And I mean, I got tuned, but there was a lesson there. Dad didn't play.
Yeah.
Okay. So nowadays, and I see it a lot. Yeah. Well, when my kids, like when my daughter played soccer, when they played baseball or football, I would see children that's just so disrespectful to their parents. And I'm like, man, dude, if you were my kid.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So my kids and your kids have always been really, really good, too, and mine, too. And I think you have a really good point. It's a tone of voice.
Yeah.
Right. And my dad always had, and I probably adopted the same. And we use the term, my dad always had a look.
Yep.
Like you be at a restaurant, we didn't get to go to a restaurant very much because we didn't have any money. You know what I mean? But when you went to that restaurant, if you're effing around,
you get the look.
You just get the look. And if you didn't square away right then, you'd probably be, out to the car.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If not the bathroom.
Yeah. And it was funny because I always used the term, my dad would always kind of reboot you. Like he wouldn't, he wouldn't throttle on you, but he'd kind of reboot you. And like if you're messing around or whatever, you get it. There's a little notch in the back of your head, a little notch there with some of the muscles attached. I know now as the doctor, right? The occiput, the back of the head. He would kind of almost lift you up off the ground. He'd give you that little swat, and you'd kind of go, right. Your head would go forward, and you're just like, your brain gets rattled for a second, and you're just like, the first thing you want to do is a little kid, you want to turn around and swing.
Right.
But you're definitely not going to do
big mistake.
That. Yeah, I never made that mistake, believe me. But you just get rebooted. Just like you'd be in the grocery store and you're just effing around. You're looking at stuff. You just say, hey, get in line. Put your hand on the cart or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Instead of running around. The other day I was down in San Diego. I was visiting my daughter. And I think I might have told you this story. There was this kid that looks like maybe two twin boys, maybe 1 year older than the other. And the mom's by herself. And she's got the luggage. She's doing a great job at trying to just rein these kids in. Where they're probably about 8 years old, old enough to know.
Right.
And then one kid wanted to grab either, PS, whatever, something on a tablet. I don't even know all this stuff. Something with that to get games on it. One kid's trying to drag it from the other, right? Then hell breaks loose. And then one kid starts hitting the mom. Like I'm in the airport and like I wanted to go. It was kind of far away from me, but nowadays you got to be super careful where society, that expression of it takes a village, it takes a village because the village knew that they could take some action.
Right.
Because this kid and then got up, was running around the airport waiting area where all the gates are. And I'm like, what in the frick? And the mom's trying to chase the kid, and these kids run around, the other kid's sitting down, and he finally gets them to sit down. And all of a sudden, they get on the plane, and the kids run around kicking the suitcases, the carry-ons. And I was looking for the lady or the ticket guys to say something, and nobody said a thing.
Oh, no. See, you say something now, and then that's, don't talk.
One, the mom could have that attitude.
Yeah.
Or two is, you'd grab the kid by the arm and go, hey, your mom said sit down.
Yeah.
Or the mom, hopefully, back in the day, she'd say, oh, my God, thank you so much. My husband's not here.
Right.
I appreciate what you're doing for me. And then the kid would say, hey, listen, settle down. You know what I mean? Or somebody of authority from the airline going, hey, buddy, sit down right now. You're not getting on the plane. But the kid ran around just like, and I was like, with my head. And it was just like, wow. Like, what's happened with
when you
society?
were young and I was young, if you got lit up in the store, people would look at you like, what'd you do wrong?
Or clap for mom.
Exactly. Nowadays, totally different thing.
And even so, my daughter's 30, and I was single with her, for like almost 5 years before I got remarried. And we had a great relationship. But when she wanted, say, for example, and we've talked about this before, when a kid goes into a store, they want something all the time. I want a toy. Frickin', you ain't getting a freaking toy today. I got groceries to get. There's no toy. Well, it's on the little and the companies do this for a fact. As you check out, there's all these
that's where all the stuff's at.
You know what I mean? The bullshit little toys or blah, blah, blah. Can I get one of these? And the gum is there and the candy's there.
Yep.
And you're like, I just want to get out of this freaking store with whatever I needed. And I remember it was probably like a Walmart or something like that. So it was a bunch of stuff. And she wanted like, I don't know, a video. I'm like, we're not getting videos today. And caused a freaking tantrum.
Yeah.
I'm like, F this. Carried her like a football underneath my arm, head forward, feet kicking like this, wailing away, screaming and yelling. And I had people as I'm walking out, and this is maybe 25 years ago.
Yeah.
Good job. Hey, Dad, we know how you feel. Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, listen, been there. Know what you're feeling like. I know what and I'm like walking out with this kid screaming and yelling. And sorry about that. Sorry about that. No worries. Hey, listen, we've been there, done that before too. You don't see it anymore. No. Because everybody's just scared to say anything.
Yep.
And our society's going to freaking hell in a handbasket, with that type of stuff.
Yeah, it's if we don't get a hold of, our youth and guide them better, we're in for a world of shit.
Yeah, you and I, we're probably not going to see it, but our grandkids, you have a couple, you're ahead of me a little bit. I don't have any grandkids or anything like that, but yeah, it's going to just maybe another generation or two if we don't kind of pull us right. This thing's nosediving. Somebody's got to take the. Take the wheel. You know what I mean? Who is that?
Well, if you look at
country song,
we see it on social media all the time. Yeah, if you see it on social media all the time, these kids nowadays that they bum rush stores and take things. If I had done anything like that, and my father found out, dude, you'd be going to the woodshed. You get beat.
So society has changed like that. I remember as a little kid, it was 5 and dime, whatever is back in New York, and it was $5 on the floor. I picked it up and told my mom, and she says, we'll bring it to the front counter and give it to the lady. Right. Says somebody comes back, they claim their $5 and right. Gave it to the lady. I was a little guy. Gave it to the lady. She goes, well, young man, let me get your name and your number. And I didn't know what the hell's going on. I'll put this in a little envelope, and if nobody finds it, and I'm like, I forgot about it. Swear to God, in the mail, whatever many days, weeks, whatever it is later. I got a freaking, because it's self-addressed to me.
$5.
$5 in a freaking envelope.
There you go.
It's like nowadays, the cashier's like, got a tip. Thanks, little Johnny.
It's in the pocket.
It's in the pocket. Thank you for picking that up. Oh, yeah, that's right. That was my $5. Oh, yeah. That was there. But it's crazy. Like, so when you, you got the kids, you're raising them, when did you start driving? Truck?
Started driving truck when I came back from San Diego, got back in construction, and I was working for a VAPCO in Madera. I fell 25 feet and blew out my knee for the
other knee? Different knee?
The other knee.
Okay, so that one gets surgery?
That one was the ACL.
On the opposite leg.
Right.
So folks, just in case, we're going to be counting these on this whole interview here today. Let's see, what have we had so far? How many total?
10.
10 plus two knee replacements. So I think we're on 2 so far.
Yeah. So after therapy, I ended up getting a check for $64,000.
Oh, wow. So, because it's work-related. Yeah,
workers' comp.
Yeah.
So I took that. My father had been a Teamster for, 30, 35 years. So I said, Pops, what do I do? And he says, start hauling strawberries to Boston.
From out here?
Yeah, from Watsonville.
Watsonville
and Salinas. Yeah,
Salinas, yeah.
So that's what I did.
But you were in Ohio then?
No, not yet. I didn't move to Ohio until 96.
Oh, check.
This was 89, 90 when I got the truck.
But no. Oh, you weren't divorced yet.
No, I wasn't married.
You weren't even married yet. I'm trying to think of the age of the kids.
I met her Super Bowl Sunday in 91.
Okay, that's right. Because your daughter and my daughter, same age.
Yes.
Like 93, they were born.
92.
Spring of 93. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So the math, you're doing the math right here.
So I buy the truck.
Independent?
No, I was leased to a company out of L.A. called Points West Trucking. Worked for them for quite a few years. It was a good experience, but you
saw the country.
I got paid to see the country, and it was a blast.
Yeah,
I loved it. It was a great experience. Had a dedicated run. I'd haul 3 loads of strawberries to Boston every week. Then when I get laid over on the East Coast, of course,
I'd to pick up.
Well, I'd go down to New York and hang out for a couple. I mean, I was able to see the East Coast.
Yeah.
So
like this day and age, we got Uber, we got all this type of stuff. Would you just take public transportation like from Boston because you had your big rig?
No, I'd drop the trailer and just drive that around like a car.
Shut up.
No. No, I've got a picture out my windshield. I'm sitting at
You're
Times
freaking
Square.
Jersey Shore with the
Times Square in my truck. And there's yellow taxis everywhere. And I was just shocked that there was, I mean, if you've never been to New York, folks, you need to go to Times Square during the day because the amount of taxis that are at that main light at Broadway is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, hundreds.
Yeah.
And there's just people everywhere. And I'm just sitting there going, wow, this is freaking awesome.
And you're in a freaking truck.
Yeah. In my tractor.
Too freaking funny.
Oh, yeah. Blast. It was my only means. They didn't have Uber then.
No, hell no.
You know, and you know, where am I going to park my truck when I, you know, go into New York?
Because once you drop
get off
the trailer.
Once you get off the GW Bridge at 178, go down into New York.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a one way forever. There's no parking.
No.
I mean, there's no parking.
Well, for you.
Yeah, for that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let alone anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
oh, that's crazy.
It was fun.
So then you did how many years for that with the trucking?
I did that until 96.
Because your ex, she drove too a little bit, right?
Yeah. I stopped to get fuel. Super Bowl Sunday. It was when the Buffalo Bills when Norwood missed the kick field goal. That day is the day I met her.
Yeah.
Then every time I would go through Akron, I would call her.
Wait, is that when they played the Giants?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good year for me.
Yep. So every time I go through, it was a little stop, you know.
Yeah.
And then I took her to California. She had some time off, so I brought her back to California. And the guy that I worked for says, "Listen, why don't you make her your co-driver? Leave her in Ohio. You can log her, and then
and then you
exactly." So we did that for a while, and then I got the phone call that she was pregnant.
Yeah.
So then
that was
she was pregnant with Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea came.
So her birthday's coming up, right?
Yeah, November 25th.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So she's a couple months.
So
older.
had Chelsea, and then we stayed in the truck but she would stay home and take care of the little one.
Yeah.
And then I ended up getting a second truck. Hired a guy to run the second truck.
Oh, no way.
He had an accident in Oklahoma City, and which kind of put a kibosh on my future because I wanted to build off that.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense.
You know, with my dad's experience and with him kind of coaching me and guiding me, I thought that would be the right thing to do. But and then
because then that's all insurance and workers.
Dad, it was a shit show once the accident happened.
Because he's technically your employee.
Well, he was under the influence when he hit these people.
Oh,
so
insurance got.
I sold. I had to sell everything.
Yeah.
So we bailed, went to Ohio, and
after you went back into the concrete.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, if you're a good employee and show up every day, in construction, that's an entity.
Yeah.
You know, but got in that, and then I started running equipment, and
how did the give some people just a little bit? It's like, and some people that may watch this, understand concrete. And it's like you've told me over the years, it's just like it's unfreaking believable how hard that business is.
The gray monster will kick your ass, dude.
The 2x4s, the 2x4, the big one at 12, no, not 12 feet, but when you're just
screeding it.
What do they call it?
It's a screed stick.
Yeah, but it's a freaking piece of wood.
Well, yeah. Well,
I mean,
if it's anything under 10 feet, you use wood.
Okay.
But anything over 10 feet, you use aluminum rods.
Okay.
And like the 16, 18 footers, you got to be a man to run those, bro.
Well, it's funny because now, like, he'll send me shit, on TikTok and whatever back and forth, and some of these construction sites. I'm telling you, man, it's like that's not for the faint at heart. Oh, so here's a story. He's going to tell you the story about the dude that comes on. I'm going to call him a bodybuilder, right?
Oh yeah, Lex Luger. That's what we called him.
Oh, I was going to say
because
that was his name.
No, this dude was built like Lex Luger.
Yeah,
and
Okay, so for some of the audience who may not know who he is, Lex Luger.
Lex Luger's a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
very well known.
Yeah.
So we're doing a pour at Cleveland Clinic. We're topping out. It's the final floor, and so we get guys out of the hall. And guys come out of the hall, and this guy comes, man, he's just yoked. I mean, just cut. We're in at about an hour, and we've got to pour all day. We've got to do 700-800 yards. And an hour into it, this dude's leaning against the wall, just huffing and puffing. And I'm like, what's up, dude? And he's like, man, I don't know how you do it. I said, bro, it's all day long, all day strong, brother. You got to, this is endurance.
Yeah.
Because he came out of the gate just super fast. And I'm like, this dude ain't going to last 25 minutes.
Now, have you had like little guys that in the union that would you be like, how does this freaking little ant like do all this physical stuff?
One of the best guys I ever worked with was Brian Burrell. He was maybe 5'7", $150. And he would whoop ass, dude. He would wear people out. But he was low to the ground.
Well,
you know what I mean? So,
no, but there's just some people that are just, in that industry, like just get it.
In concrete, you got to work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
So you got to learn, the things you can add to it to make it wet longer, looser.
Yeah.
Some guys, I've been on some jobs and I'm scratching my head going, man.
Because you're not the mixer.
No.
Yeah.
No, you're making a huge mistake, but, whatever.
Because you're getting paid no matter what.
Exactly.
Have you had instances where you've had to, like, you come back, shit's dried, and you're like, what the? Hopefully not too many stories like that.
We rented a pump truck once, and a pump truck is a machine that you dump it in the back, and it goes through a 6-inch tube, and it gets pumped out to wherever you're dumping the concrete.
Yeah.
I'd never been around a pump truck before. I didn't know, the ins and outs of it. Once the guy said, hey, we're done, cut it off, we did, and we just left the pump truck and went to lunch and came back an hour later. And the concrete that was in the tube was prom dick hard, brother. We had to take the entire pump truck apart.
To take the concrete out?
Yeah.
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 So it was
for free.
Like the pipe
that wasn't on the clock. That wasn't on the company.
Yeah.
That was on us.
Yeah.
The foreman. I made that mistake that one time. I never made.
Now, were you the lead on that job or something? Oh, you were. Yeah. Oh man, so you took that one.
Oh.
Ooh, like a champ.
Didn't get home till like 2-3 in the morning.
Yeah, and it's not paid
for free.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. But sometimes that's how you learn, though. You know, concrete is. I know, as crazy as it sounds, I've had some very funny shit that I've seen, and happen on jobs. But if you don't know what you're doing, dude, it can kick your ass. Oh yeah.
Now, do you think a lot of the, so we've got two in the books right now. You had 8 different other surgeries. Most of that is all concrete.
Yeah, I got a mixer truck backed into me. I wasn't paying attention. The mixer truck caught the side of my knee and with the chute.
With the chute, yeah.
He didn't have a backup alarm, and I wasn't paying attention to him. And the chute came and hit my knee and buckled it. So that was number 3. And then number 1 I was having problems with, so they wanted to do a high tibial osteotomy, which is where it's like a slice of pie they cut out to get it to pitch a different direction.
Yeah, because people think, top bone, the femur and the tibia are supposed to be straight up and down. But they're not.
No, they're not. No.
Yeah.
That's theory.
That's for another lecture.
Yeah. But
they did that on you too?
Yeah, the high tibial osteotomy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucked. And then got out here.
Before. Yeah. So you were married how many years before you got divorced?
9.
So you're out there the whole time. You guys never lived out here with your ex?
No. When we got divorced in December 28th of 2000. And then I stayed there working for a couple different companies. Of course, the mistake I made, I got her in the trades because she knew how to drive a truck. She had a license.
She pretty good at it? Or not that good? You've seen worse.
I'm going to catch grief over this, but for a woman, she did a really good job.
Yeah. Right.
No, not a lot. I mean, listen, not a lot of women can drive something that's 65 feet long.
Yeah.
That weighs 80,000 pounds. A lot of dudes can't.
I was going to go somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm sure. But
I didn't.
Yeah. But after that.
This was a woman that could drive something 65 feet long.
Yeah. That's kind of, I don't know if I'd want to see that.
Okay, we digress.
The visuals, not good.
Okay,
but
we still were on trucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then once I got divorced, stayed there, and then I moved back here. My stepfather was really sick, so I moved back here in '07, and I've been here since.
But so little diversion from that was in society how we have things don't always go the way they plan. I've been divorced and whatever.
Yeah.
And how one of the things about Robert, we've been friends for a long time now. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and he's going to tell you the way it is. Most of the time, works out perfectly because people know where you stand.
Yeah.
But there's other times when you tell it like it is, or don't sugarcoat anything.
Sometimes you should keep your mouth shut, especially in front of a judge.
So, with that being said, we're going to just kind of roll into that and to let people know is like, what is it? Who is it? No one to hold them, no one to fold them. Who's it?
No one to keep your mouth shut.
Country singer. I can't remember off the top of my head.
After the divorce, there was, thanks to O.J. Simpson, if you get a divorce in any state in this country, they issue a protection order. Woman versus man, versus, because of the...
Would anybody know? Like, just that's automatic?
Automatic.
So I couldn't do the same thing. I can't be barking.
In Ohio, when I went through it was automatic in Ohio.
Yeah, so if you're barking at her, she's barking at you, there's some...
Yeah, so they issued a protection order. When she found out the strength that she had with that piece of paper, she could give you an example. If I was late to pick up my kids for visitation,
she can make a phone call.
Right, because now I'm late, so I'm knocking on the door. Well, he's here. He wasn't supposed to be here. The cops come. They ask me to leave. Okay. The first couple of times I complied. But once I thought, okay, this is bullshit, all right. So I ended up 7 times in 6 weeks, I turned myself into Akron Police Department because she would call and say, he's in the neighborhood. He followed me home from work. He's at my... Now, in those 7 entities, never was I ever caught anywhere near her.
Yeah, but you had to cover your ass.
I had to cover my ass. So I'd get a hold of my attorney, Tom Ciccolini, and he'd say, go turn yourself in, which I did. The next day, I'd go for the same judge every time.
Hey, Robert, how you doing today?
Lady judge. So after the 7th time, the judge says, listen, something's up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you on probation for a year. So, Tom Ciccolini, he's objecting, and he says, listen, to prove that this is crazy, it's like that, the movie with Mike Douglas, what was it? Where the crazy lady, anyhow. So we're going to, they pointed out that my ex was in the audience. Mm-hmm. So the judge asked her to come to the podium to talk. And she says, listen, you're trying to make this guy out to be Charles Manson. He hasn't had a traffic ticket in 15 years.
Yeah.
He's never, ever, he hasn't been in trouble in years. I'm just finding it hard to believe that this guy's Charles Manson. So we're going to put him on probation. If he's arrested again or turns himself in again, you're going to go to jail. Well, they put me on probation for a year. 2 weeks prior to me finishing my probationary period, I get a phone call from Jean White, who was my probation officer. She says, Robert, can you come in today because I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to be gone when you complete your probationary period.
I need to get all this stuff signed off.
Exactly. So I'm like, cool. All right. So I go down to the probation department, walk in, and when you take a dog to the vet, and they get in the door and their ass squats because they can smell it. They know something's wrong. Why am I here?
And so with the ears of the dog, they're kind of like, oh?
Yeah. And I walked in and checked in, and I thought, man, something just isn't quite right. I could just feel it, dude.
Yeah.
They said, oh, yeah, you can go upstairs. So I get on the elevator. I get up on her floor.
Puckers.
Oh, asshole tired in a duck's ass, bro. And walking down the hallway, her office door, any other time I ever went, was closed.
Yeah.
This day it's open, and I can see her sitting at her desk. And she's like, oh, come on in. I'm thinking, that is just so weird. What the fuck's going on? I walk in, door shuts, and here's three of the biggest.
Behind the door.
Shut up. Three big sheriffs. And that was May 13th. And they took me in for violation of probation. What my ex did is she had taken, remember back in the day, the little mini cassette recorder for your home phones? Yep. Right. 9 or 10 months prior to that, I left a very nasty message because I got tired of getting jerked around, not being able to get my kids without bullshit.
Yeah.
So I left a nasty message. Well, she claimed that had happened within
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, and she.
Yeah, with those cassettes, there's no timestamp or nothing on
that.
Dude,
it was a tape.
Oh yeah.
There's no digital.
Nah.
Nothing.
There's no way that'd fly nowadays.
So I go to jail, and I'm on the chain to go to court, and the guy that goes before me is one of these white supremacist dudes, and he gets John Randall, the judge, pissed off. So by the time I get in front of the judge, he's already in a shit mood.
Yeah. Oh no.
And they're like, well, now this is May. Now there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. May is heavy construction time.
Money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Weather's good. By Thanksgiving, the season's over. Okay? So you figure May, June, July, August, September, October.
5-6 months.
Exactly. So the dude says, well, we're going to put you on 6 months shock probation. We're going to send you to prison for 6 months. And I was like, why? Well, she feels threatened and yada this and yada that.
So the tape, which doesn't have a timestamp, they still have to go by it at some point, correct?
Well, they played the tape in the courtroom, and I mean, it was bad. I mean, I was pissed. So, not making that right, but they had the tape. I says, this is bullshit.
And the judge is already grumpy.
And my attorney's like, be quiet. And I go, dude, look, man, I'm going to prison anyway, bro. So what? It doesn't. He's already made up his mind.
Yeah.
And he says, you're not helping your case. I said, sir, listen to me. I'm a heavy construction worker. This is May. You send me to prison for 6 months. I'm going to get out of prison in November with 2 feet of snow on the ground.
And no money to pay help my kid.
How am I going to get a job?
Yeah.
I said, F it. Make it a year. So what's the dude do? Granted. Sends me to a year.
Most people are trying to get, well, can you give me some more probation? Now, you know what?
No.
Listen, let me just get, a warm cot and some food. I'll take a couple more months there, Judge.
She was in the courtroom when that happened. So I go to Lorraine, which is the reception center, and then they sent me. Have you ever seen the movie Shawshank Redemption?
Oh, yeah. I saw it the other day.
I stared at that castle every day for a year.
Oh, it's the same place?
Well, Richland is the new prison right behind it. The only thing separate is a wall, but I could see it every day.
From your window?
From the yard.
Oh, from the yard.
Yeah. So I'm in prison, and I get a notification to go to court. And my ex realized that, oh, shit.
Not getting any money.
I'm not getting that $1,653 a month if he's in prison. So she went to court to try to have him let me out.
Well, she should have thought of that beforehand.
Exactly. And that's exactly what he told her. He says, listen, he said, either he's, you're scared of him or you're not. Had you said to me in the beginning, can we do something other than lock him up because I need the money, we would have went down a different venue. But you claimed that you would fear from your life and,
shot herself in the foot.
Yeah, exactly. So I did, I did the year. Then when I got out, I got to see the kids and.
Did they come in? Well, your daughter was how old?
No, nobody came. Nobody come to see me. No, no, and she thought she was slick because there's still that protection order in place. So she would send mail to me in the kids' names. And then when I got out, she tried her darndest to, reconcile. And I'm like, no. Bro.
Yeah, no.
I already lost my freedom for you for once. So went back to Cleveland.
Stayed there for a while?
I stayed with a buddy of mine, Bobby Kame, a big weed dealer, and started back in construction. And I didn't have any money. When the kids would come and see me, we'd take the bus everywhere. I remember the first time we took the kids on the bus. Cleveland is predominantly black.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're in, obviously, I'm Caucasian, right? So we're on the bus and the kids are running around. And the closer we got to downtown, the fuller the bus got.
Yeah.
By the time we got downtown, all of my kids were in my seat on my lap, just like, just freaked out. But, Cleveland was a good experience for them, a good experience for me. Made a lot of money, finally got in with a good company. And after about 2 or 3 years of it.
Came back out here?
Yeah, my stepdad was pretty sick. My mom couldn't handle it.
That's
So
right.
I came back out here to help her. And
Then you were still doing cement. Wait, you were doing roads, right? Did you do roads when you came back out here?
when I came back out here, I worked for Dawson Malden. They're the company that did the airport expansion.
Yeah.
And they were their office is still in Selma, but they had a machine that I knew how to run, and so I got hooked up with them and did that, and then blew out my knee again, and that's
just work.
Yeah, and then that healed, and then Kiewit came to town. They built the peaker plants out by Mendota, and worked there for 4 years. And then in 2011, I had a full knee replacement, and then it just kind of haven't really done.
Down.
Yeah, I do little odds and ends now. You know what I mean?
It's funny because from that warrior mindset of the peaks and valleys, and you hit quicksand, and how do you get yourself out of that? Some people drown, and we've known each other a long time, and you've done like the odds and ends things. What was it like for you when it was like there's no money to be had? Like, I mean, we've known each other a long time, and it's like, how did you get through that? Where, I mean, basically, you guys were almost no place to be.
We got to a point
you with Johnny at the
when, after being at Kiewit for 4 years,
mm-hmm.
Obama, he made a change in the unemployment.
Right.
So when I had my surgery, I had accrued in my
in your
account,
in your kitty, yep.
Close to maybe 119,000 that I could draw on my disability.
Yeah.
Because it was an on the job problem. Yeah. And then I had 2 years of unenjoyment built up. So I thought, okay, when this runs out,
I'll have this.
I'll be able to step right in that. So, 6 weeks before this runs out, I filled out all the paperwork, sent it in.
Because it's money that came out of your check. It's
correct.
Not like you're not asking for free money.
But when Obama was the president, he made a law that if you don't use whatever you have accrued in your account in unenjoyment, if you don't use it in an X amount of time, you lose it. And next thing I know, I get a paper, and I've got, it's the summertime, so all the kids are living with me. And I'm like, no income. And, I've worked my whole life. So when I had to go down to get help, that was tough.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Yeah, well, that's the moment when you're still in that quicksand, and you're kind of like, you're up to here.
Oh, dude, I'm swimming my ass off. Yeah. So I sent 3 of the kids went back home to their moms because summer was over, right? Yep. And actually Johnny went home
for a little bit. Yeah.
And then John, he called me. He's like, Dad,
I need to come back out.
Yeah. So he came back out, and I mean, it was tough for me and him.
Yeah.
Actually, it hurt me more because Johnny's like a blue tick coonhound, loyal as they come.
Mm-hmm.
If he's your friend, it don't matter.
Yeah.
He's a ride and die guy.
Yeah.
And many times I say, look, bro, I love you. Go back to your mom's. It's going to be better because, I mean, bro, there were times we have a 12-pack of tortillas and a stick of butter and a half a gallon of milk. Yep. That was dinner, bro.
Yeah.
And I don't say that for any sympathy because that's what it was.
No, but that's like the whole concept of this podcast in the sense is that.
Well, you got to figure it out.
Well, yeah, you got to put on that armor every day, and you got to put on those big boy panties and just tell yourself, okay, well, how am I going to make this work? And I think people in society think regular people like you and me, don't go through those things. They just think of somebody on the sidewalk in San Francisco and, San Diego or LA, where a lot of those people, for the most part, a lot of them, it's self-inflicted.
Correct.
Right? Alcohol, drugs, and et cetera. A high majority. But the people like you and me, the everyday person that all of a sudden is like, man, I'm just strapped.
Yeah.
That's when the armor's got to go on. And it's like, how do you figure it out?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know over the years, it's like, you've done anything handyman stuff or built things and taken down things and, whatever you could do. Because the construction stuff, you really can't because of the knees.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And getting through that.
Well, and all of that, that's where the addiction came in.
Mm-hmm. Because of the pain.
Oh, dude, listen.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you went to 25 union construction lunch pails on a job.
You're going to see Tylenol.
Oh, you ain't going to see Tylenol, bro. You're going to see Norcos. You're going to see Vicodins. You're going to see Loratabs.
Hey, Johnny, can I have a Tic Tac?
Well, listen, when I was 45 years old, I'm competing against guys that are 25.
Yeah.
So it was easier for me.
And it's not good or bad.
This is what the drug addiction side tells you.
Yeah.
Well, you just take a couple of those. You'll be good. Well, if 2's good, 4's better.
Yeah.
Then 4 doesn't work anymore. So now we're at 6.
Mm-hmm.
Then 6 doesn't. It's just a progression.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, which, you're aware of, June 31st, that morning that I called you. I was to the point, because I had my right knee replaced. They gave me Oxycontin, Xanax. But what nobody told me was that I would take the Oxycontin and be in my system. Then I'd take the Xanax because the Oxycontin would mess with my respiratory.
Yeah.
I'd panic. I'd take the Xanax so I could breathe.
Panic attacks, right.
But the Xanax would wash out the pain med.
Mm-hmm.
So now I had nothing for the pain. So I talked to a longtime friend of mine, Brad Bach. I go, bro, what do I do? He says, dude, get some Jameson. And you know me a long time, dude. I'm not a drinker.
No.
Never have been.
Many times at Thanksgiving,
and
one Crown and Coke and we're good.
Yeah. And so I thought, okay, let me try that. Well, now I'm doing Oxys, drinking a half a fifth to a fifth a day, plus Xanax. No, guess what happens? All the pharmacies in town find out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's in a database.
Exactly. So now
See, you can find about that nowadays, right, in a database. But freaking 20 years ago, God bless it, little freaking tape doesn't have a damn timestamp.
Dude,
and you do
right?
Freaking 365 days.
That's when I was like, okay, I can't handle this myself. So I went to First Steps Recovery Rehab, and
You're there a month, right? 30 days?
20 days. I stayed there 10, but I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Mentally, I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
So that was, I caught a lot of shit from that, from one of my kids. But because he was like, Jonathan's like, Dad, I know you. You're a strong dude, bro.
Yeah.
You can handle this. But what he didn't understand is that trying to kick alcohol and Xanax at the same time, bro, you have to be supervised.
Right. And also, too, is with that being said, I've been in the medical field, too, and, where the medication is totally different. Is Johnny or I going to take anything away from who you are? Robert's a strong guy. We all know that. But the medication is a totally different demon. But where the strength comes in is when you walk out of that door and that armor goes back on you. Now we're at 390, was it 300?
495 today.
495 today. That's where the strength comes in. So those are the things, and, just the epiphany came to my mind thinking about this. That would be the concept you would give to Jonathan to say, hey, listen, there's where that mindset comes in. Well, yes, I am strong enough, but I'm also strong enough. 2 things. I'm strong enough to ask for help, which is very difficult for people to do. 2 is, after the fact, the strength comes in to maintain the 490 some odd days. You know what I mean? And that's where that armor goes on, and that mindset kicks back in. And, obviously, you've been super blessed with, the ability to do that. And it's where those people on that proverbial Skid Row, you know what I mean, of any one of these bigger cities.
Oh, I could have been that dude.
Oh, 100%.
But I look at, I don't look at those people in disgust. I look at them and I feel sorry for them.
100%.
You know, it's
100%.
like, I dabble in deliveries,
Yeah.
which and anytime I have orders that are kiboshed, I give it to homeless people.
Yeah.
And I don't want anything for it. I don't, any acknowledgement, but it's when you look at somebody and you can tell that they haven't eaten in days, bro, or washed their hands, it's like.
Hey, it's funny because anybody out there on that concept, what Robert was saying, where, he'll get an order from an Uber or whatever, and you just, they tell you to just discard it, and if you have that inkling within yourself and your mindset to, if you're driving around town and you see a guy like that, hey man, if Uber tells you to discard it, hand it to
Give it to a
people.
homeless person.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's paying it forward. You know what I mean?
You got to.
I mean, I tell you, and if you want to talk about it, how we have to clean up our armor all the time, and we think to ourselves, we're getting all these dings. I personally think a nice little polish comes on automatically to you. That armor gets a little cleaner, looks a little shinier when you do good things for people. You know what I mean? And
hey, what goes around comes around, Joe.
And
that's no shit.
that. I'm telling you. You know what I mean? I try to do the best I can in my life too, and we all make mistakes along the way. But as long as my batting average, is higher than the next guy's, I think we're doing a good thing.
Yeah.
But what would you say? Like, what are some of the things that you think in society that in this long life that you've lived so far? What do you think some of the changes are with some of our younger generation that is different than when you and I were growing up?
Accountability. They don't want to take. I'll use my kids as an example. Chelsea's 30. Her kitchen caught on fire 2.5 years ago. So we took that as from God. Okay. This is a sign. Get your ass out of Canton, Ohio.
Yeah.
So she came out here. She started out at $50,000. She bumped it to 60. She moved it to 70. She moved it to 80. Now she's at 90. She works from home. She's doing it. It's just a blessing. But for her to leave her home that she owned and bounce and load up the kids. Yeah. I mean, that's a tough move, bro. Ryan had a steady Freddy job for 8+ years in Pittsburgh. He comes to California, to visit Johnny and I, and fell in love with San Luis Obispo. Now he runs a really nice restaurant in Shell Beach, and of course, Jonathan, he had his D1 experience. COVID came, and he didn't get drafted.
Guys, yep.
He goes back down the slow, takes a $13 an hour job at the restaurant,
Got introduced to people,
and rolled that into very good position.
Very good position.
He's doing for 25 years old, man. It's like a blessing.
But it's funny because our kids, our kids are a little bit different. Like some of the kids nowadays, are so soft.
They all got their hand out, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see it all the time. I drive all the time, every day, and I see kids, 16 years old and a $150,000 BMW. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
When Johnny first started driving, it was an $1,800 pickup truck. Here you go. You know what I mean? Nowadays, kids are take. They don't. Society has taught them that if they bitch enough, they're going to get. It's just like the way our society is going with the LGBTQ thing.
RSTUVW.
Yeah. If it's
Z.
I just don't understand.
No.
You know what I mean? Nothing against any of those people.
Yeah.
I see them all the time. I'm cordial and polite, but if you have man genitalia, you shouldn't be in a woman's bathroom.
Oh, 100%. Good point. And what's that expression like, or the idea that I talk about when we've talked about some of this with some of the people I've talked to on the podcast, is the sense that, we're trying to appease the few to avoid the many.
Yeah.
And avoiding the many, and it shouldn't be like that. You know what I mean? And
right.
It's like I listen to a lot of what's his name, psychologist that we talk about all the time.
Oh, Ben Shapiro?
No.
Kurt?
Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson.
Jordan Peterson.
Smart dude.
The guy's a scientist. And we've talked about on this podcast all the time. I'm one of those guys I'm a math guy and I'm a science guy.
Yeah.
I'm not an emotional guy, right? 1 and 1 equals 2. And I swear to God, I saw this the other day where somebody's trying to argue the fact, well, maybe it might not be 2.
Oh, no, I saw that on social media.
Yeah.
It could be 4. No. No. There's no 4 there.
Yeah. It's both of us right now in this podcast. We're both trying to like clamor for words. It's like, no, it's freaking 2.
Yeah.
Where what's happening is the pendulum, I hope the pendulum's swinging the other direction soon. And I think a little bit we see some of the younger generation on the college campuses and things like that. Turning Point USA, things of that nature where, you get a lot of these guys that are on here that are doing a very good job. But a guy like Jordan Peterson, who's a scientific guy because he's got a degree, a doctorate
Smart
degree
dude.
in psychology. And he and I are on the same page with that as far as, if it looks like a duck, walk like a duck, and quacks like a duck.
It's a duck.
It's a freaking duck.
Yeah.
You're born out of your mother's womb and you look like this, that's exactly what you are. Now, if you choose to recognize as a stork, hey, God bless you, go right ahead.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? But don't let it affect the mainstream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want to, at 18 years old, once you're out of school, if you can't buy cigarettes till you're 18, you can hardly even drive until you're 18, keep all your body parts until you're 18. And then from there, God bless you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be the last person that I don't want to judge anybody. You can make your own decisions, but you also have to, what do they say? You make your bed, you sleep in it. If you make these decisions and it's a bad decision, it's kind of on you. But that's okay because you made the decision because you're 18. It's on the parents that are pushing these kids with these agendas and things like that before the kid is old enough to make their own decision. You know what I mean?
This is I'm going to catch heat over this shit. In adoptions, all right? 2 women adopt a little boy.
Gotcha.
How's that? God made men and women for a reason, because the man has a responsibility to teach boys boy things. This is just my opinion, 2 cents worth.
Yep.
Woman teach the girl woman things. That's how it all began.
And are we going to say on a side note, can women still play sports? Of course they can.
Absolutely.
Can women still do construction?
Absolutely.
But the idea behind it is the mom is going to teach you about that time of the month.
Right. I don't know. I experienced that with my daughter.
Me too.
Talk to your mother.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But then it's from the dude things.
Yeah.
If she played soccer.
Yep.
Right? And if she's an athlete, well, dad's going to probably help you take care of that. If mom wants to interject there, God bless you. Dad's probably not going to interject on that time of the month.
No, I had nothing to do with that.
Nothing to do with that.
Nope.
But it's like, there's certain things and you have, you have a man and you have a woman. If they decide to, do something different, at least let them make the decision after they're 18. And I just don't believe, they tell you right now, there's no praying in church. Praying in church. There's a lot of praying in church. There's no the prayers in school, and now they're trying to take out the Pledge of Allegiance and whatnot. So if you don't allow prayer, why are you allowing all this LGBTQRST stuff, but you're allowing that to be taught in the curriculum, but you won't teach anything about God?
Yeah.
Seems kind of a little bit, skewed to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so those are the things. It's like, keep the school in the school until you're 18. When you want to go to college, if you want to take classes on LGBT, you want to take on psychology, where things came from and blah, 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 and do all this type of research on your own, that's great. But up until then, the schools for elementary level should be left, for that. And again,
let the kids be kids.
Kid can't make a decision.
Yeah.
Like, here's a decision. I saw this one thing, it was on TikTok or whatever. They took a little kid, right? And they put big old Hershey's chocolate bar and they put $10,000 in a wrapped envelope. Which one do you want, Johnny? Kid's going to take the freaking candy.
Absolutely.
He doesn't even know what money is on a stack like that of 10G. Like if you were like 18 years old, I'm going to buy 5,000 worth of Hershey's, candy bars with this $10,000 as opposed to taking the one candy bar. So if you have a kid that's that age, 5, 6 years old, how's he going to know what the hell a G.I. Joe and a freaking Barbie? You know what I mean? Let him play with it, whatever he wants to do. You want to put a freaking dress on G.I. Joe? He knows no shit. You know what I mean?
Our society's gotten to the point where everybody's hesitant to take a stand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And
that's why I like Candace Owens and, people like that,
Listen, she's a no-guff kind of person.
Yeah.
You got to respect that. Whether you agree with her views or not, she's a very intelligent person.
She was on, there's doing some...
Well, they're trying to get her on The View, and everybody on The View said if she comes, they're leaving.
Yeah, that's the way he would cancel the show real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
She was on one of the things, Turning Point USA, and something to the effect where somebody was saying, well, how do you feel, about your opinions, and you're going to hurt people's feelings in this campus and whatever. And she's like, listen, I'm too damn pregnant. Put on a freaking helmet, or something like that, a paraphrasing, put on a damn helmet and put on your big boy panties and just get on with your freaking life because nobody cares about your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And really it's,
that's the way it is.
That's feelings. That's emotion. I personally am not a big emotional guy with that. I'm science and math. If this equals this, if this plus this equals this, it's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that goes back to that duck phrase, looks like it, walks like it, that quacks like it. That's what it is, a duck. But, hey, listen, we've been definitely, we could be chatting, for hours on this type of stuff and whatnot. We just hope that society does make a change, like you got the Shapiros and the Petersons and the Candace Owens and all those type of people. Hopefully they'll make a big change and, the swing of the pendulum and things will be better because, like we were just talking about, man, I just hope this country doesn't go to hell in a handbasket. I'm going to try to find an island and live on pineapples or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, hey, just a little handshake, man.
Right,
I really appreciate you, you coming out to here. Everyone just kind of stay tuned. If you like what you see, kind of, follow us and like us. And we'll be just having more guests on with this more warrior mindset. And a lot of it is we're just trying to find out what makes people tick. And so look forward to seeing you guys, viewing the show before. And we'll bring on new guests, every week. Thank you very much and have a great day.